What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at the midfielders in this tier list. We've got a brand new one with some absolute banging cards. As we see the portfolio of midfielders we've got right now, there's a lot to go through, so let's jump in and start with some big boys. So let's just get some of the big ones in. So Huller is number one, obviously. I don't think there's anywhere else to put him. Alongside him, let's just have a quick look and see if there is some guaranteed S's that we don't need to really go massively over. I believe there is one down here in a big boy, Yaya Toure. And then also, we have got a Vieira. We'll go over the prices and all of that stuff, so just 1 second. If we're looking at anybody else, we'll stick a Ronaldinho in there as well. There's no way he's going anywhere else. But these cards are more of the most expensive ones you can get. Hullet's coming in at 4.1. You've obviously got Zidane somewhere, actually. Where's Zidane? Is he at the bottom? There he is, of course. He is the second highest priced midfielder. We've got coming in at 2.9. We've then got Ronaldinho coming in at 2.2. 2.2 as well for Yaya. And Vieira's card, this one currently is a World Cup exclusive. You can get him in swaps, I believe, for 40 tokens, I want to say. And obviously does have a mid, which is 88 rated, that's coming in at a whopping 1.4. As well as that, there's actually one more that I want to put in here, just with Matthias at 1.1 as well. These cards are the elite of the elite. Obviously, they are the hardest ones to get, really. Icons are not very easy to pack. Obviously, with Vieira, it's probably the easiest one you can get because you can do the 40 tokens, which isn't available yet. But you can do him. You just have to sacrifice anything else. None of the 84 times 20, times 3, any of the icon hero picks or anything like that. So you do have to sacrifice all of that. But you can get this card for free if that is what you want. Personally, for me, the 84 times 25 times 3 I think is it times 20 or 25 times 3. Unfortunately, will take the cake on that one because that is a lot of cards to get. I don't know if you can get icons in that, but that'll be interesting to see once we can. Yaya Toure, the new World Cup hero version, even his base is still absolutely incredible. And the big thing which all of these kind of have, Ronaldinho to some extent, because I feel like he is replaceable with more of his prime, whereas I think most of these, their primes are better, but you can definitely get away with the mid, and they are very, very much endgame. Right then, so next up, we're going to look at some of the gold. So we have got Goretzka, we've got Kimmich, we've got Conte. I think they're the only ones to actually survive this week. A lot of people do have special cards, so these are kind of the remaining top gold cards that haven't actually got any specials yet. Personally, Conte we used on the second account, Goretzka we used on the main as a super sub, and again, very, very quick on the ball. All of them really coming in at 53 for Conte, 31 for Kimmich, and for a Goretzka, he's coming in at 21. So they are almost at base value in terms of their price, and all of them have different aspects that they work with. Unfortunately, I believe Conte can't be lengthy, which is going to have a little bit of a factor on him. But with a shadow, regardless, he goes controlled still has the 93 defending. He'll have 80 pace. Still a very, very top-end card that will go into A. Goretzka, for me, has been a cracking super sub, which really, really works well. His pace does really well. He's got the anchor, which will give you the lengthy, which, again, does work really. With the 82 pace, 87 defending, 91 physical. For me, in terms of a gold card, I would happily put him in the AS. We're going to be putting him in the A for this time around because, as you can see, we have got a lot of top-end cards here, which, as a base value of 21,000 coins, he is nice for a gold card, but in terms of the choices that you do have, he's going to start going down the ranks. And finally, with Kimmich, one that I actually really haven't ventured with too much. We have got explosive with him. Controlled is what we're going to go for. I think a lot of people are going shadow, which would keep him explosive. If they have fixed it, I think that is much better because as a CDM, I do want him to have at least controlled or lengthy in my game style. But again, yours could be totally different. For me, I'm going to have to put him in that B for now. So moving on to some of the heroes then. So we have Sahid, who is stunning. absolutely stunning. We've done a review on him. We've done a review on a lot of these cards, so if you want to check that out after, then obviously by all means go and do that. But this card is straight into that S category. He is absolutely phenomenal. If you want more detailed on him, go into the review on him because he is an absolute storm. We then have Marquisio, Okocha, and Nakata, who are actually not out yet, but we have got their base value. We have all of their stats because they are available in the pre-order pack if you've not opened it yet. So you can actually get Team 2 and Team 1 in that. But obviously for right now, in terms of the market, you can't actually go with these guys. The only way you could play them other than getting them in your pre-order pack is through draft, which I believe we've had one game with Marquisio. We haven't quite done a review on him yet. Okocha we haven't seen as of yet, but again, his card from his 88, which is just one value lower, is a stunning card. And Nakata is one of them ones that I think if you wanted him in a certain squad builder, he will do a service, but unfortunately, he's not an icon this year, so he doesn't have that benefit of linking everybody in terms of leagues, in terms of the old chemistry style, so he has that little bit less of a value, but still got some very good stats. In terms of his skill moves, we've got a 4-star, which will always do him well. He's going to go in that A. Okocha is going to go in the AS. Marquisio is going to go in S, and Mascherano from a centre-back to a CDM in the two versions. Personally, I preferred his hero as a CDM and definitely did a massive job in that CDM role, which we're going to go into that AS. Next up, we have some World Cup token cards. So these are obviously SBC ones that have come out during World Cup swaps. I actually haven't seen many people do anything with them. We're just going to load up the what sort of price they are. So if we go into they're into SBCs, aren't they, in fact? So if we go into swaps, we should be able to see the sort of levels we're looking at. So I'm pretty sure most of these, so we've got Brandt at 8, Danilo Pereira at 8, we've got Mason Mount, if I can find him, he is at 10, and then finally we have got, who is it, Fabinho, who is coming in at a 15. So there's some massive tokens to give. I believe we've got about 16 or 17 at the moment that are available. So you're almost having to either pick one or two of these or just one Fabinho, and that is going to cost you all of the tokens. The only problem with these are I just don't think they're necessarily worth it. In terms of the card themselves, they've had a good upgrade. They've definitely come in higher rated than what they obviously are previously. For instance, with Fabinho, he is an 87. He's gone up a double upgrade. But for me, I think he needs to be higher. He needs to be a 90-91 because realistically, if I'm giving up 15 tokens, which could be the 84 times 3, or times 3 84 packs, the 83, the 82 times 20, I'm giving up an icon pack, I'm giving up Vieira. For me, for these to be worth actually putting your tokens in, I personally would have to have them at a higher rated. For instance, 2 upgrade for Fabinho. If he gets an inform, you are going to be literally the same rating almost, just maybe +1s on stats. So in terms of where I'd put them then. So realistically, Fabinho, not a bad card. Lengthy to start with, which is obviously always perfect. Can add the shadow onto him, which will give him 86 pace, 90 something defending. He has definitely got to go into that AS. Brandt's coming in with controlled, a 4-star. He's had a bit of an upgrade from his 82 rated card to an 87. Like I say, in terms of stats, we've got a nice card, but unfortunately, there's going to be so many cards that have this sort of value at a price that is very affordable. For me, he's going to have to sit in the B tier. Mount's come in with a double upgrade from his 86 inform, which is a cam recently, to an 88. He is literally one SBC being almost the same sort of level of him. Personally, the 86 is not going to be that much of a downgrade that you're going to really notice it. For the tokens that are very scarce, I'm going to have to put him in A for right now. He is a 3-star, 4-star. Would have been nice with an upgrade on that skill move. He is controlled / a little bit of explosive depending on what you're going with. I think he's a good card, but not worth the tokens. And finally with Danilo, again lengthy, which is always perfect for a CDM. If you are not rocking any sort of top-end CDM, he will definitely do the job for you. You can whack the shadow on him as well to get 88 pace, 94 defending, which again is a very top-end CDM. Again, we can go and get somebody else. But for me, I think he's going to sit with Fabinho as well. I think that sort of card is very harder to come by. I just know that it will happen in the near future and even maybe in this whole World Cup promo. So looking at some of these one to watches, we've had some nice upgrades and some that have just been a little bit underwhelming. In terms of the one to watches that we're seeing, I think these are the best of the best in terms of midfield. I don't think there's any more in here. We've got Kessie, Renato Sanchez and Tchouaméni. Obviously with Kessie, he was an SBC, so if you haven't completed him, there is no chance of now getting him again unless they got a re-release. Very, very unlikely, but you can actually see it happen every now and then. He's gone into an 86 and he's an absolute baller of a card. He's coming in with the lengthy attribute. He's 100k of SBC price from this market. I can't remember how much he was sitting in at with obviously his previous one, but he is an absolute baller in this game. Lengthy to begin with. He's a cracking little player that you can get. 88 pace, 91 defended. There's not much better really there. I think as a 100k very from the start, you've got a very well worth upgrade that can actually still go up. Tchouaméni next. He is controlled to start with, lengthy with the anchor, architect or marksman. The anchor's obviously going to be the choice. It's personally my two CMs in Tchouaméni and Kessie. Both again can go up in rating, which I believe I think Kessie can if France win in the World Cup. Tchouaméni, Kessie obviously not. I don't think is in the World Cup. I'm pretty sure Ivory Coast are not, but they could be. I'm actually having a look now because I don't know if they are. I believe Disaster, yeah, they miss out on the World Cup. I was going to say I haven't seen them, so there is no chance of that. But Tchouaméni, again, a very, very top-end card. And Renato Sanchez is the one that unfortunately has been shafted. He has started at an 80 rated card, which is fine because that 80 rated card could be lengthy with the Architect. With the upgrade that he's had with this 83, there is no longer no chance of being lengthy, which at this point in the game is now a little bit okay. You can kind of get away with it, but that was the kind of selling point of this lower rated card. He's got some nice stats throughout. You whack the shadow on him, 94 pace, 83 defending. Even if you whack the architect on him, which is obviously what made him lengthy to begin with, you had the 86 pace now. You've got 88 passing, 95 physical. You take the hit on maybe the defender not being incredible. You've already got good dribbling, which is absolutely perfect, but he's now taken away the lengthy. It takes away that little bit of value. So for me, he's going to have to sit. I would say it'd be in between AS and A, but because we're doing that, he's going into A then. Then we move on to some of the informs. We've had a kind of array of different informs that we've got, from Barella to Neymar to Modric to Pedri. We've got different values and different levels that you can have a look at. In terms of Neymar, coming in at 1 million coins, which is absolutely crazy. Can be cam and left mid. He is going to be more of a forward, if anything, but in that cam role, we've decided to whack him in the midfield. We've kind of gone cam, CM, CDM this time round, just to kind of see the different levels in who can be cam, who can be box to box, and who can be your defensive mid, because I know there is a lot of formations that are out there. I don't normally play one set formation, or at least one that comes up in game, and I think Neymar, for me, could sit in that cam very nicely. He's a 5-star, which obviously puts him out ahead of everybody else, which for me he's got to be going in that S. Kevin De Bruyne is another one. He came in team of the week 1, so obviously we're going to have a bit of a value shift because he hasn't had another inform. That one is going to be very rare from the very start of the game. There's only going to be so many people that actually have this card tradable, or at least being able to put him on the market. I think, again, a very nice card. His passing is obviously very, very nice. With the architect, he can be lengthy, which is a little bit of a shame because we already have incredible passing on him. The physical would go up incredible, but I do need a bit of pace, which is where I personally would put my favors on him. A lot of people are saying architect because his passing will be that good that he physically doesn't need pace because he can literally just do whatever he wants. It would be nice if we could have had even a Hawk would have been perfect for him, just because then we'd have ended up with 79 pace. May not seem like a lot, but in the lengthy aspect, that would be really nice, as well as a 93 shooting and a physical upgrade. He will still sit in that S for me. For right now, Kevin is absolute key in a team. If you can get him passing and moving really well with obviously your forwards, then you have got an absolute gem in your team. Luka Modric is up next. next. A beautiful, beautiful 89. We'll put him here so we can see the rest. A lot of people, well, I've been hearing that a lot of pros are using this card. And again, it'll be mainly for his passing, if anything. He can't be lengthy. He is explosive through and through. So he will have a certain way to play with him. He's not going to be running past people at a fast pace for long distance. But he may get that short little bit of burst to be able to open the space up. Then linking with the passing would be absolutely perfect. A lot of people are going Shadow with 109 votes, or obviously they're going with their Hunter. The Shadow probably would be better because I don't necessarily need him in and around the box every time. The passing's going to see it through, so the Shadow will just give him that little bit of a defensive hit if possible. Gives him 83 pace, 80 defending. He's already got incredible passing, dribbling's at the top end. So for me, if pros are using him, we've got to put him in that S. We will try the Modric out, probably his next one. This one's only coming in at 87,500 coins, so could be a little bit of a gem for the price. So now we've got the rest. So for instance, Barella can't be lengthy. I believe Casemiro is lengthy to start with. Same with Milinkovic-Savic, who again we'll get onto a little bit more for him. Bentancur, I believe it's just an architect, which I'm right. All of them are ranging around about the 30 to 50, 60k price. And I think they all have their same sort of values. We can kind of see throughout that a lot of them are very, very similar. In terms of the CMs especially, I think Pedri for me has now lost a little bit of value in terms of where he kind of sits. Casemiro being lengthy, I think that is always a nice hit with adding that shadow on. Yes, he doesn't necessarily have the greatest amount of pace, even with that +8, but the lengthy will carry him through for at least another few weeks. Then we've got the Barellas, again a solid card. I think Jude again sits in that one, and I think Bentancur, he's a half and half. I do think that he possibly could have been in that AS, but just because of the sheer caliber we've got here, I'm going to say A. And Milinkovic is a very, very weird one because the stats are top end. Like, we've got some really, really top end stats there in terms of the great balance throughout. Then we can add the Shadow, giving him 78 pace, 87 defending. That is a top end card that I think I've not seen too much of. It's coming in at 24,000 coins. For that price, that is a very, very efficient price for this card. Next is some of the outer positions, and I know I've absolutely screwed up with one of these, and that is going to be Perisic. I cannot believe I didn't put him in. It takes so much more time to get this guy in, but Perisic, just as a quick note, if you are listening, then obviously Perisic is 76,000 coins, lengthy with the Architect. He is a phenomenal card. I do like him on the right mid, so that's probably my sort of thought process, but definitely as a cam, he can really, really do a top end. I think he'd definitely go in that AS. If I'm looking at all the rest of them, Fofana, lengthy on the base, which is perfect. Starts as a centre-back, can be a CDM though, which I think is absolutely brilliant, and will definitely come in the top end sort of CDMs for my liking. In Zinchenko, I didn't actually do this SBC. It has expired and it was 65,000 coins. I don't think he was that expensive. Or no, I think he was more expensive once that SBC came out. But in terms of the card, it's a nice card, but definitely not worth the upgrade if you've already got a Kessie, a Tchouaméni, if you've got many of these ASs, even a Milinkovic. We've got a very top-end card there. I just don't think he was necessarily worth the price. And finally with Cancelo, a cracking card. 470 is always going in that S tier. We've got a very, very top-end centre mid here that can also be right wing back and CDM. The only problem I have is normally I like him as a left back. A left back, right back works really well for him, but it is nice that he's had this upgrade. He's mainly had it across the board: 2 pace, 4 shooting, 2 passing and dribbling, 3 defending and 5 physical. So a very, very nice rounded stats here. He is obviously controlled. If you wanted to go for an anchor or a shadow would give you 95 pace, 91 defending, or anchor would give you 91 pace, 90 defending and 84 physical, which for me would be absolutely perfect. So it brings us on to the road to the knockouts then. So we've had some upgrades. Muller actually is 90 rated. I've got everybody else but him in terms of the rating upgrade. The first one we're going to be looking at is the Valverde. 630,000 coins. I believe all of these have now had their upgrades from what they can be. So there is no more upgrades, I believe, across the board for any of these now. So it'd be on to road to the final once the World Cup finishes, which I can imagine there will be some more cards that do appear in that. Unfortunately, I don't think any of these are getting back-to-back road to the knockout and road to the final cards. But in terms of the upgrades, we've had some very, very nice ones. Valverde's now got an 84, 86, 86 inform from Team of the Week 1, and now an 88 CM. So this card is absolutely beautiful. Architect makes him lengthy. We've already got 91 pace on him. Honestly, one of the perfect midfielders that you'd be seeing in very, very top end, and I think can't be anything other than S. If we're looking at Foden, starts out as a left wing, can be a cam, which is personally where I would really like to play him. He is explosive, so you could argue you'd want him on the wing. I just personally think in terms of a cam role, setting up two strikers would be absolutely perfect with him. Coming in at 213, stats-wise looking very attack-orientated, not much on the physical, but the dribbling looks good, the passing looks solid. In terms of the chemistry style people are going for, they are going for out-and-out Hunter, 94 pace, 88 shooting. Again, a very, very nice card. I personally would go AS. I think he is literally one upgrade or at least a 90 away from being in that S right now. Lucas Paqueta, an 87 cam, obviously in the Europa Conference, I want to say they're in now. Obviously, the stats are quite nice. He's coming in at 177k. Architect can make him lengthy. We've already got the 80 pace on him. He'd definitely do a job. I think in terms of this card, if he was looking to be on more of a top end sort of spectrum, I would like a hawk or a marksman to get him up there in terms of lengthy. I think with the passing and physical, it's good enough. I would like a little bit more pace, bit more shooting as a cam, and I think he definitely would be sitting in very, very pretty. We are going to put him in A just because Foden, I personally think, is better. Even though lengthy is mainly on Paqueta, Foden will give you them stats as well, which is always perfect. And he is a little bit more on that meta end. We now have Odegaard. So again, a Europa card this time. 88 rated, had a nice upgrade from him. Can't be lengthy on anything, and he is explosive on everything other than Architect, which will make him controlled. Again, stats are looking good. Great passing, great dribbling. A 5-star, 2-star, unfortunately, which will hold this card back. We've seen it year after year with Rivaldo, with his skills and weak foot. Unfortunately, that is not going to be good enough for this card. He is left-footed, which means the right foot is going to be rendered useless. And as you see, we aren't short of any sort of cams, CMs, DMs that will do that value, and he's coming in at 100,000 coins. We've got a Milinkovic who's going to be 20k. We then have a couple of 100ks right here. For me, unfortunately, that weak foot is going to hold him back to the absolute full. Lamar, another big card that honestly I really didn't see being a centre mid. Unfortunately, I don't believe he had the full upgrade that he could have required. So that's going to be what really holds this card back in terms of the 70k value on him. Obviously, again, another explosive card that I don't personally get on with. He can be left mid, right mid, which is personally where I would prefer him. And then I'd prefer to whack a Hunter or something like that on him. Still gives him the 93 pace, 86 shooting. We've got a bit of passing, good amount of dribbling. So I think he would be in that sort of better card, but most definitely not in that top end variety. He could have been a hell of a lot better with just that upgrade again, but unfortunately it will stop him going in that AS, and he's going to be in that A for me. Thomas Muller, honestly I didn't think to have this guy in. Personally for me, he's just not for me. He's going to sit here. I think as a cam, he's always been one of them cards that just doesn't translate to FIFA. Yes, you get his team of the season and he's a hell of a lot better. He may have the stats, but again, he is then sitting with all the other team of the seasons. No one's been too happy to get a Muller very early on, and unfortunately for this card, it's exactly the same. He sits in controlled, which would give him a little bit of value, and obviously with the pace increase to be a 90, we've got some sort of level, but the fact that he's gone up to a 90 rated card and he's still 41,000 coins tells you all you need to know. Engine or Hunter would be the kind of main one I'd go for. Would give him 82 balance, 85 balance, 82 agility, but unfortunately he's just going to have to sit in that C category. The 3-star, 4-star is not going to work, and it does move us on to two massive ones in Zambo, who's had a huge upgrade, and also Benacer as an SBC that I think a lot of people just kind of didn't bother doing. Very, very cheap, and now he's up to an 87, which I think is nearly the value of an 87, so you'd have actually just bought a player to be able to get a special. In terms of Benacer though, no length fee required on him. We've got controlled or explosive, a 4-star, 3-star, left-footed, got a good amount of stats throughout. I'd probably say anchor would be the way I'd go. 87 pace, 89 defending, 88 physicals, great dribbling, good passing, a very, very good rounded card. So for me, he's going to go in that A, and Zambo is coming in at a whopping 65,000 coins with, again, a lengthy anchor on him, 88 pace, 92 defending, 95 physical. That card is definitely up here and is probably only an upgrade or two away from being an S, but unfortunately, we have maxed out with him. And that brings us on to the Path to Glories. So we actually have had a mini release yesterday which enabled us to get a Zachariah who looks actually really nice. He's coming in now at 314k. We haven't had no upgrades, so I can imagine the price will drop down that little bit more once we get some promos today. Is lengthy on the base. A very, very nice card, to be honest. I think in terms of kind of rating, will Switzerland go very far? That's going to be the interesting point. He does get upgraded if they go a little bit. Personally, their group, if we have a quick look whilst we're here, I don't think, I want to say they are, so they've got Serbia, Brazil, Cameroon. You're arguing there. I'd expect Brazil to top it. That I think is a must. In terms of Serbia, Cameroon and Switzerland, I think it's more on the day. So there is a potential to go out the group stage. Whether then they go through anywhere in the knockout is going to be the risk that you take personally. But I think for right now, in terms of the card, he's got to be AS. He could get up if he does manage to go through some ranks. Then you've definitely got a very, very nice card coming in at a very cheap price if you manage to get him in his lowest price. Next up, Bernardo Silva. A solid card. Would expect Portugal to do quite well. He isn't lengthy on anything, mainly explosive, and has the position of cam and centre mid. In the cam, he's always done quite well. Very much a Bruno-esque card, or vice versa. Bruno's a very Bernardo Silva card. Very much on that passing, dribbling sort of nice play. A 4-star, 4-star with the potential to go up at a very nice rating, already being 90. Portugal have Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. So I'd personally expect them to be, I'd expect them to top their group, really. Obviously, Uruguay, never an easy team. South Korea can always put up a fight. And same with Ghana. The best thing about the World Cup is it is not 100% guaranteed. You can pick your favorites, and it doesn't always work out like that. We've seen Spain not go through. We've seen Italy not make the World Cup. Anything can happen with this, and it's where the element of risk comes in. If you are looking at his price, he's coming in at 564,000 coins. That is because he is upgradable. So you want to get these cards pretty much untradeable if possible, so you have that element of risk taken away. Harder said than done. Obviously coming in as one of the high, I think one of the highest rated, if not the highest rated currently. I think you've got Vinny at 88, you've got Lukaku at 88. I think Bernardo actually is the highest rated Path to Glory at this moment. Obviously we've got a Team 2 coming, but his card is a very, very nice cam. I think one upgrade and he goes into that S in terms of cam. Right now he's going in that AS. And then it moves on to De Jong, a fantastic card, 88 rated. He is just brilliant throughout. We've obviously got the lengthy, which is not available. The controlled is pretty much everything else, which is always perfect. You can go with that anchor, you can go with that shadow. I think shadow would be the personal choice for me, just to get as much pace as possible with him. He'd give him 92 pace, 85 defending, a very, very good box-to-box / more CDM. He will fit in that S category, and in terms of World Cup rankings, Senegal, Ecuador, and Qatar in their group, again, I would 100% expect these to go through. So he is almost guaranteed a one upgrade at the very minimum. Again, with Netherlands, I expect them to do quite well in general, so it will be interesting to see where this card ends up. At the moment, he's coming in at a whopping 478,000 coins. Personally, we do have a loan of this card on the main account, so we will be seeing as we go through the ranks what the upgrade's like. So again, subscribe if you want to see more reviews on the +1s or +2s as we go through the World Cup as well. And I think why not? We've got Messi here. His SBC is still available until the 20th of November, so we've got another 6 days to go with this card. A 92 cam coming in at 661,000 coins at the moment, and unfortunately not the highest version of this card. card, we do have a Road to the Knockout 94 Messi that is right wing or right mid. This card can only be cam and right mid. Again, right wing might be more of his position, but he most definitely can play in that cam role. He's got the 4-star. He is very, very adapted for the dribbling style of stuff. Quick, nice and good on the burners. He is kind of that very much explosive player. You can whack him controlled with the Architect, but again, it all depends on what you want from him. I think for me, because of such a pace downgrade, I think Hunter is 100% where I need to go with him. It would give him 90 pace and 95 shooting with already having the pace, the passing and dribbling. That for me is going to be where it's going to be at with him. He is 100% going that S tier still. Hopefully we do see him continue to get more and more upgrades, but we'll have to wait and see, really. So now we're on to the rule breakers. Sissoko actually was missed as well. There's only 2 players that are missed this time, so we are getting there. We will add them in the end, so obviously they will come in the new tier list in about a month's time, and plus all of the other players that will be provided in new promos, new leaks, all of that good stuff. But he would probably be in that AS as well, maybe even A, depending on what the rest are saying, because he is lengthy as well. In terms of Thiago, who we're looking at, 336,000 coins, explosive with a little bit of control if you can, obviously with the Anchor, Architect or Marksman. People are saying the Anchor is what you need with him. He's already got the passing and dribbling, got a good amount of shooting. You do need some more defending, so I think you could argue either Anchor or Shadow depending on what you want with him. The Shadow will give you 93 pace, whereas the Anchor only gives you 89, and you get 80 defending and 79 physical. For me, a nice card. He's pretty much got to be in that AS, and I think a lot of these cards now are cams other than our man Calvin, who personally is on the bench, which I didn't think I clicked. So Calvin is 83,000 coins, controlled with no chance of lengthy. Obviously with the Shadow, you're going to be looking pretty top tip with him. I think Shadow would be where you go with him, just because obviously 75 pace, you want a little bit more if you can. It'll go up to 83 with 94 defending. Already got passing and dribbling at an okay rating. I think right now, he probably would have been AS last time. I think A in this one would be perfect, and more than likely will downgrade as we go through with more DMs. And that leads us into Fekir at 213, Havertz at 191, and Payet at 44. With these, Payet can be lengthy, Kai Havertz can be lengthy, and Fekir can't, which is very interesting as the price differs there. So obviously with Havertz and with Payet, Anchor, Architect, Marksman are the ones to make him lengthy, which is just funny that it works like that. Again, Marksman probably will be the best on both of them, even though it doesn't necessarily get the passing uploads. The Architect could be something, but I think having that bit of a dribbling basis, which I think Payet mainly will focus with personally, Havertz might actually be better off with the Architect, mainly because that passing's coming in sub 80, which I think will be a big problem with him. Again, 200k for Havertz. I think A is perfect. In terms of Payet, he is, I'd say in terms of what we're looking at here, probably more in the B category, but for the price that you get, you are almost getting the same sort of value as a Havertz right there. It's just not necessarily in the Prem, so there is no Prem tax for him, and I think in terms of the stats, we're looking pretty good throughout, so he's going to go in that A as well. And Fekir is almost just a cheat code in this game. He naturally is so good. A 4-star, can be controlled, so you've got no worries there. A Hunter is where you're going to go with him. 93 pace, 91 shooting. We've got a good amount of dribbling, 86 on the composure. Passing's already top end, and we've got physical. He's going all the way up into the AS for me. And now that leads us on to the icons. So some of these are okay, and some of them are just not anymore. I think there is definitely a very good range between them. Essien is probably the only base in here because his base is better. If there is better cards in their base, then I've just kind of missed them, but I know Essien 100% is way better in that SBC for his base rather than his mid, which I think for me, let me double check with that, because I guarantee I'll sprout all this waffle and his base will be less. Yeah, it is. In fact, that's why. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure the base is, and it's mainly because of that 6 loss of pace. That's going to be absolutely huge. Puts him into that S category at 340,000 coins. So just looking at some of the top end cards we've got here, Ballack, Desai, both S for me. We look then a bit further. Seedorf, incredible. We then look at Veron, who's actually surprisingly quite good in game. Stat-wise looks good, but I think he definitely plays better. Lahm, a solid DM. I think if I was kind of picking some S tiers straight off the bat, I think Ballack's got to go in that S. He definitely fits the meta this year. Same with Seedorf. He just works really, really well. I've loved his base. His mid is absolutely incredible as well. And Desai as a DM, personally, I would probably go with a centre-back with him, but in DM he still will give you the same output. In terms of some of the A categories then, I'd personally be looking, or AS in fact, I'd be looking at Baggio, I'd be looking at Gattuso, I'd then go to some aspects, I'd probably go Gerrard as well. I think he just definitely works really well. Kaka's on the funny one because I feel like he's definitely nearly there in terms of AS to S, but I think it's going to be more his prime that personally I would prefer in S. Lahm is 100% an AS. We look then at, I think, Veron. Let's have a look at Veron. I feel like he definitely is. He's in that mindset, but I need to kind of refresh my mind with him. Veron, his mid card is coming in at 135, lengthy with the anchor. I think that pretty much settles it. Yeah, he's got to go in that AS. Lengthy with that stats is going to be the perfect one for him. Socrates, really, really like this year. Obviously, Brazilian icons always tend to do well for me. In terms of what we've got on the rest, I think Xavi and Pirlo, both very, very similar cards in what they can do. More passing and dribbling orientated more than ever. Again, coming in at prices of 279 for Pirlo, and Xavi is coming in at a whopping 218. So again, even very similar there. A 4-star, 3-star. Pirlo's 5-star, 4-star, which is always going to add some value. So I think that makes my mind up of who's going above who. Xavi will come and sit in that A. Pirlo will sit in that AS. Mainly, that 5-star, 4-star is going to give you that big helping hand. I think in terms of what we've got left then, Beckham for me is a right mid in terms of where he can start. But because obviously his base is a centre mid, he can actually be put into that centre mid, which is where I personally would like him. More in that sort of cam role. Unfortunately, can't be lengthy. He's going to be architect controlled only, and stat wise we're going to be looking for that hunter. He's got to be more of that cam. 88 pace, 91 shooting. Again, a top card, but only a 3-star, so he's going to come and sit here. Lampard's going to join him as well. I think in terms of Schweinsteiger, the pace is going to be the bit of a letdown there. And let's have a look at the rest as we've got 5 cards remaining. Then we've got Hadji, Figo, both cams, both 4-star, 4-star, roughly coming in at the same price as well, which is mad. Both of them can't be lengthy, but the stat-wise, we're looking pretty similar. Obviously, Figo's got a little bit more on that physicality, but less shooting, less passing, bit more pace, one less dribbling. Very, very similar in what they can do. I think both of them, for me, would probably sit in that A as well. Really, in terms of price, it is only the icon that you're paying for. We've got plenty of cams that come in at a cheaper price, and you can get that same output. Roy Keane, surprisingly, is better in-game personally for me. I think he has got a big upgrade from his base, a +8 on that pace, which adds absolute wonders. He is lengthy on the base as well, which is always perfect for what you need him for. I think Shadow has got to be the only option there for me. Gives him 82 pace, 92 defending. We've got a great amount of physical, which is mainly coming from that 94 aggression. Great composure, nothing too much on the dribbling. Is only a 2-star, 3-star, but because this card is so heavily more defensive, he is going to be a very good DM that you can go for, and will sit in that AS. And then finally, we've got Petite and Makalele. Both can be lengthy, which is always perfect. A 3-star, 3-star on Petite, 3-star, 3-star Makalele, 250 for Petite, and 220 for Makalele. Both very, very similar. Height-wise, Petite is 6'1", who can be a centre-back, and Makalele is a centre-mid, right-mid, who is 5'9". For me, Petite would definitely be seen as a centre-back more, and Makalele would definitely be more of a CDM. Both of them with that length is always going to be perfect. Unfortunately for Makalele, it can only come with the Architect, which again isn't necessarily too much of a bad thing with him. 78 pace will get you by a little bit. With Petite, he can be lengthy with pretty much anything, I think, because I'm pretty sure he is lengthy on the base. No, he's not. But he can have the anchor, which is where I personally would sit him at. 79 pace, 92 defending, 94 physical. That is why for me, he would be more of a centre-back, as he has them sort of attributes, but a little bit better than some some centre-backs that are already lengthy. So for me, I think both of them have got to sit in that AS, and that is the tier list done. So let me know down below if you agree, disagree. I know there is a couple of players missed. We will add them in at the end of this, obviously to kind of go through for the next time, and hopefully we'll have some big upgrades during the rest of this World Cup. So let me know what you think. This is the list done. Make sure you do like and subscribe, as well as, once we get to the end, check out the videos on the left hand side. Like I say, subscribe, make sure you like, and let me know what you think. Peace.